Hello, this is Brandon Johnson. This is my Module 3 for EDL 853, the special education interviews. To highlight the individuals that I talked to for the interviews, I spoke to an assistant principal in my high school. I also spoke to one of our special ed science teachers, and then I spoke to a paraprofessional that works within that science classroom. The child find procedure. Uh, The special education teacher highlighted the process that the teachers go through at our school to identify students that might need to be placed on an IEP. They were referred to the IEP and the building sit team, and then they go through a whole evaluation process of the students. They call the parents, they go through a referral process, and then they set up the actual IEP. The administrator that I spoke to said that, the administrator's role in the find process is basically to just support the student, the teacher, and the parents in the process of the IEP. And the paraprofessional kind of highlighted the same answer that the teacher gave me. What do you find to be the most challenging part of your role with regards to special education? The special education teacher highlighted the most challenging role for them was the paperwork involved in the IEP process, just the tedious and time-consuming process of writing the IEPs, making sure that the wording's correctly, and all of the stuff that goes into the IEP to make sure that the students' needs are met and everything is spelled out and laid out correctly within that IEP. And then the administrator said the funding doesn't always match up with whatever the needs of the student is. And he went on to highlight saying that, sometimes that student may require more one-on-one attention, and, those funds for that are not there. Paraprofessionals within the building, we we may need more and can't go out and get them. Certain things like that, just funding and stuff doesn't always match up with IEP needs. Uh, the paraprofessional highlighted that within their position, they work with numerous kids throughout the day. Knowing the accommodations that go with each individual student was the most challenging thing that they saw, and just making sure that those students' accommodations are being met are the most challenging thing for them. What is the most rewarding part of your job when dealing with special education students, parents, and teachers? Uh, that special education teacher that I interviewed said that the most rewarding part of the job is just seeing student success and laying out the IEP and establishing a plan that can be followed to make sure that the student's successful, and then seeing that end result of the success is the most rewarding thing for them. And the administrator basically said the same thing. It's all about success for the students and finding that common goal of graduation, and possibly, figuring out something that they can be successful at after high school. The paraprofessional highlighted the growth that they see in the students from beginning to end of the year. Um, you know, Learning to be more responsible, completing assignments on their own without help, this, that, and the other was different stuff that they highlighted as rewarding parts of the job for them. For the advice that they would offer on the supervision of special education staff, the special ed teacher highlighted that mainly they just deal with the para professionals that are placed within their room, but they wanted to highlight on the fact that just establishing a good relationship with those paras and making sure that expectations are set for as far as working with students in the room and working for them as the teacher, and just making sure that they have that established communication, to make sure that the students are being served within the room. The administrator said to make sure to develop those relationships with those special education staff members, make sure that they feel welcome and are a welcome part of the school staff. He said oftentimes they're viewed differently because they work with the special ed students, but to make sure that they feel treated the same as regular ed teachers do. How do you work effectively with parents of special needs children? Um, Basically, the answers I got on this were pretty much similar, and the common theme was just communication. Whatever communication works best for the parents, as far as between the school, students, and parents. Make sure that you find that means of communication so that the students' needs can be met, whether it's a phone call, an email, a note home, whatever it could be. Just make sure that the proper communication is happening so that the students' needs are being met. How do you work with regular education teachers with students with special needs? The special education teacher answered this by saying that, trying to make sure that those open lines of communication between the special ed teacher and the regular ed teachers are there, offer help when needed. They said to try to get the IEP snapshots out to the regular ed teachers as quickly as possible so they know what accommodations are needed for their students. The administrator said it all starts with communication. Regular ed teachers should try to, or should be encouraged to attend as many IEP meetings as possible, so that they know the students in their rooms and know the needs that they have. And then the para said that they work mainly in the regular ed classroom, and they like it whenever the teacher lays out the expectations for the students throughout the year. Most paras, or they don't attend the special ed meeting, so it's kind of on the teacher to communicate and relay to them what sort of accommodations need to be made, how students should be worked with, and this, that, and the other. So what advice do you have for a first-year administrator? The special ed teacher and the paraprofessional didn't really have much advice to offer, but the administrator said just get to know your staff, put the time in to develop relationships with all staff members, and just make sure that they know that what they do is important and that is valued by other staff members. How do you describe the role of the special education teacher and the building principal? The special ed teacher said their role is to educate students to the best of their ability, whether it be special needs or not. Give them the tools to be successful and make sure that they are receiving the accommodations that are placed within their IEP to see that success. The administrator said it's no different than classroom teachers from the standpoint of expectations and how they teach their students. They just have more responsibilities with their meeting the IEPs of those students and making sure that those accommodations are met. The paraprofessional said the role of the special education teacher is to make sure that accommodations for the individual students are being met and making sure that the success of the students is there. What characteristics do you seek in aspiring administrators with regards to special education? I got an answer from the administrator on this, and they highlighted that have an understanding of the paperwork process and all of the ins and outs that goes within that. There's a lot that goes into creating an IEP and making sure that the process is understood and know what needs to be done is important. And being able to adequately communicate with parents and effectively communicate with parents is important when dealing with special ed IEPs. I want to thank everybody for watching my video. Hopefully everyone has a great Easter, and I look forward to viewing everyone else's videos. Thank you. Bye.